Hello children, I am back here to discuss the next part of Act 4 Scene 1. So here you see what we got to know in the previous video, that till the last moment what this Shylock says, that though he is going to lose money, though in this transaction he is not going to gain anything, he is going to lose money, but still he will keep his bond. He is not going to listen. While this Shylock gave some example, like if a person, we have got to know that if a person doesn't like a cat, a harmless cat, can you ask that person why not? If a person doesn't like a roasted pig mouth, open mouth, can you ask why? It's the choice. Or bagpipers music, it's their inclination towards their liking. So you cannot say, here I also want to say my still I cannot give you any reason, I will not give you reason, but still there is only one thing, that is I have tremendous hatred towards Antonio, so I can lose my money. So next coming, Bassanio, this is no answer. Thou unfailing man, to excuse the current of thy cruelty. So here Bassanio is saying that, see, you are a heartless man, and this answer does not excuse that extreme cruelty what you are showing. Your answer, whatever you were saying, like about that harmless cat or gapping pig or the bagpipe, the noise of bagpipe, that doesn't give any excuse to your, there is no comparison with your cruelty. Then Shylock, I am not bound to please thee with my answer. Then Shylock says, I am here, I am not bound, I am not obliged, I am not bound to please you, to make you happy with my answer. I am not going to. Then Bassanio, do all men kill the things they do not love? So here Bassanio says, do you think that if a person doesn't like anything or any person, he will kill that thing or he will kill that person? Do you think that? Then Shylock, hates any man the thing he would not kill. Then Shylock says that, do you know, is there any man who hates the thing he would not kill? Means here he is telling it is like a choice. Like as Bassanio says that, is it that if a person doesn't like someone, he will kill that person or kill that thing? Then Shylock's response is, do you know that a person hates someone and is not going to kill him? That is also there. Then what Bassanio says, that every offense is not a hate at first. He says that you don't think that every fault, if a person does any fault, that means every fault does not have to hatred. Does not have to be a cause for hatred at once. So what he says, that it doesn't mean that if anybody does any fault, any mistake, that doesn't mean that for that mistake he will be hated. There will be hatred towards him. That is not. Then Shylock, what wouldst thou have a serpent sting thee twice? So what Shylock says here, he says, would you allow a snake? What wouldst thou have a serpent sting thee? That means, would you allow a snake to kill you, to bite you second time? Will you allow? No. Before that you are going to kill that snake. So here he is using a metaphor, metaphor of snake. Antonio. Now Antonio is talking, because from that time he has been noticing that how Bassanio is trying to convince Shylock that it is not the solution, that if you hate a person you will kill that person. That is not the solution. As he was trying continuously, now Antonio talks. He says, I pray you, think you question with the Jew. So here what Antonio says, I request you, I beg you. You see with whom you are talking, you are arguing with a Jew. And you should not, you don't know. Here Antonio, he wants to mean that you don't know a characteristic of a Jew. You don't know the characteristic of a Jew. So why are you arguing with a Jew? You may as well go stand upon the beach. And bid here, you see, this is important, children. This is some examples he gives. You see, what I am going to read now through, this is also one way of Antonio to insult Shylock. What he says, you see, you may as well go stand upon the beach and bid the main flat bet his usual height. So he says that you may go to the sea beach and you can ask, even you can ask the high tides, high waves to reduce its height. You may then next is, you may as well use question with the wolf, why he hath made the ewe bleat for the lamb. So here next he says that you may go and ask a wolf who has eaten the lamb, and because he ate the lamb, the mother sheep, that ewe, is very sad. So you can go and ask that wolf why that wolf has made the mother sheep sad or mournful by eating the lamb. Then you may as well forbid the mountain pines to wake their high tops and to make no noise. So here one more point he says that you may go to the pine tree that which are there in the mountains. So you can go and ask those pine tree that not to make noise when the wind blows. So here certain things which are very, very impossible, that those things, those examples here Antonio is bringing and telling Bassanio that you can go and ask these impossible things to become possible, to make them possible. They may listen. That means in a way he is insulting. And then he says, when they are frightened with, you may as well do anything most hard. Means like this, you may do anything which is very hard, very impossible, as sick to soften that, than which what's harder, his Jewish heart. So he says that you can go to them, all this impossible, the most hard task you can do, you can try, you may get success, you may soften their heart, but you cannot do it with this Jewish heart. That is more hard, it is harder, that is harder, that is hardest. So he says, I do beseech you, make no more offers, use no further means. So he says that I am requesting you, beseech means request, I am requesting you, you do not try to negotiate with this man, with this Jew, don't offer him anything, but with all brief and plain conveniency, let me have judgment, and the Jew as well. So he says that it is better with a swift process and in a very simple way. Brief and plain conveniency means with a very swift process and simple way, let me die, let me have my judgment. So here Antonio is ready to die. He says there is no use of requesting the Jew, there is no use of arguing with the Jew, there is no use of giving him 1,000 examples of mercy. He will not, his heart will not get softened. It is the hardest. So you don't try. Next, Bassanio, for thy 3,000 ducats, here is 6. So then Bassanio says, as we took 3,000, now we will just double the amount. We are offering you double amount, 6,000. So here you see what Shylock says. From this line we can understand, next line what I am going to read now, that though Shylock is a money-minded man, today he is in no mood of having profit in monetary transaction. So what he says, you see, if every ducat in 6,000 ducats were in 6 parts and every part a ducat, I would not draw them. I would have my bond. So here, it is a mathematical calculation what Shylock says. If every ducat in 6,000 ducats, if every ducat in total 6,000 ducats, if every ducat is having 6 parts and every part is one ducat, then how much money it is coming? It is 36,000 ducats. You can note it down. 36,000 ducats. He says, even if I get that, I am not going to cancel my bond. I am not going to listen. Whatever I have decided, I will do. I'll take that pound of flesh. Now Duke is talking. How shalt thou hope for mercy, rendering none? Next, he says that if you do not have the feeling of mercy, if you are not merciful towards other, how do you feel that God will be merciful towards you? You will not get mercy from God. God will not. If you do not become merciful towards other. Then what Shylock says, it is important. What judgment shall I dread, doing no wrong? You have among you many. So then what he says, what judgment shall I dread, doing no wrong? So he says, I am not afraid about the judgment because I have not done anything. Why do I fear? Dread is fear. Shall I dread? For what I will have fear? For what I will be afraid? Because I have not done anything. Antonio signed the bond and now the time has come. So I am going according to the bond. So I have not done anything wrong. Then what he says, you see, you have among you many a poached slave, which like your asses and your dogs and mules, you use in abject and in slavish ports, because you bought them. Shall I say to you, let them be free, marry them to your heirs? Why sweat they under burdens? Let their beds be made as soft as yours, and let their palates be seasoned with such wines? You will answer, the slaves are ours. So do I answer you. So here what he says, you see, children, those days slavery was very common, and during Shakespeare's time, there was no rights for animals, and equally there was no rights for the slaves also. So what he says here, that you use your slaves like asses and dogs and mules, means like animals. You treat them like animals. You behave badly. You just degrade them. You do not consider them as human being. You behave inhuman. You show your inhumanity in front of them. You make them work like animals. So if I tell you to free them, will you listen? If I tell you that you free them and you get them marry with your children, will you accept that? If I tell them that why to make them work so hard, why sweat they under burden, that means why to make them work so hard, and you make their bed like as soft as you give them food as, let their palates be seasoned with such wines, means you just may give them food, good food, the same food what you eat. You will answer, the slave are ours. So what we will answer? If I tell you all these things, you will say, no, slaves are ours. So whatever the way we want, we will treat. Same is my answer. So do I answer you. The pound of flesh which I demand of him is dearly bought. It's mine and I will have it. If you deny me, fie upon your law. So he says, so same it is for me. The pound of flesh, it is my demand. And I will have it. I want it. And if you deny, if you do not give me, then shame on your laws. And there is no power, there is no force in the decrees of Venice. That means he says there is no laws, no force, no power which can stop me to get the correct judgment. Answer, shall I have it? Okay, so this much. Next time coming with the next video.